Pre-med, the future doctors of the world. But what's the culture like on the path to get to that end goal? The first things that come to mind are cutthroat, competition, backstabbing, stressful. That's what we're here to find out. This interview was conducted to get the inside scoop on the pre-med culture and whether it's a positive or negative environment. We'll be hearing today from pre-med students, myself included, a pre-PA, a film student, as well as a professor at Chapman University who has taught many pre-med students. The driving questions in this interview are, what are your thoughts on the pre-med culture? Was the pre-med track what you expected it to be? Did you ever consider switching your career path? Do you know anyone that switched career paths from pre-med? Thoughts on majoring in STEM to apply to medical or pre-health schools? What was or is the hardest part of the pre-health track for you? What is the best part about your pre-health track? The pre-med students, pre-PA student who was formerly pre-med, film student, and a professor each provide their own unique insight into the pre-med culture, told through first-hand interviews. Their claims and input have been backed up from reliable sources, such as the Department of Education and the New York Times. Each has their own experience and narrative with the pre-med track and culture. Here are their stories.
My name is Joshua. I'm a third-year undergraduate student here at Chapman University. That the goal is medical school.
My name is McKenna. I'm a second year, and I am on the pre-med track.
Angelina Sorensen, a sophomore, pre-med.
Angelique Alexander, screenwriting major.
My name is Jeremy Tang, and I am a second-year track of pre-PA.
I'm Nairi Alexander. I'm a sophomore at Chapman University, and I'm a pre-med student. What are your thoughts on the pre-med culture?
It sucks.
Pile of anxiety, and it's a pile of people having panic attacks every 5 minutes.
Scene is extremely strenuous from an outside perspective. I also think there's a lot of negativity around it, coming from the students themselves.
Very competitive, and everyone kind of wants to beat each other out.
Overarching, the pre-med community, I think it's pretty, cutthroat and competitive. Everyone's trying to get ahead.
There's this kind of stigma around the pre-med culture because you think that's so cutthroat. I think at Chapman especially, it's less intense and it's more of just an identity that bonds a lot of people together.
Extremely competitive to the point that you can lose yourself and who you are and your morals and kind of what the whole path of medicine is all about. Not the qualities I would want in my future physician, you know?
The average GPA of matriculation is 3.9, and all these people are straight A students. They get perfect grades on everything. They are so disciplined. They study so hard, and I can't be that all the time. So yeah. I was am I cut out for this? Should I do something else?
It's important to note the statistics for getting accepted into medical school. The MCAT, which is the Medical College Admissions Test, is scored out of 528, and the average MCAT score is 505.6. The average MCAT score for applicants that are accepted into medical schools is 511.5. Based on the Princeton Review's 2017 to 2018 average GPAs for medical school, applicants had a total GPA of 3.56, while actual medical school matriculants, the GPA average is 3.71. Was the pre-med track and culture what you expected it to be? You graduated high school, was it what you expected to be when you first started?
I expected it to be as difficult as it was. I didn't expect it to be as all-consuming as I thought it would be. I thought I would have other interests that I would explore more intensely besides the pre-med track, but I think definitely see that there is plenty of opportunity to have a really good balance in terms of pre-med obligations and other obligations. It's just the type of people that are attracted to the pre-med life or journey are people who are inherently not balanced.
Sorry. No. No, I don't think it was. I think that, yes and no. I thought, it'll be difficult, and I'm going to have to study so much, and it's going to be so hard, but it's a lot different thinking, I'm going to have to study so much versus, getting up in the morning and staying up all night every single day, forgetting your family, forgetting your friends, forgetting what the outside looks like, and just being locked in your room all day studying. I think it's a lot different when you're it's going to be like that versus actually being in it.
I can honestly say that I was not prepared for what the pre-med track and the pre-requirements were going to be and what was thrown at me. I was definitely not prepared for the amount of work and amount of studying and how much I would have to sacrifice in order to do well. And I think that's the biggest difference. Like, finding the balance is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, and I still struggle with it.
Overall, yes. I don't think I anticipated how heavy the workload would be. Like, I knew it would be harder, but I went to a pretty, like, challenging high school for the area. So, obviously, like, for people like us, school was pretty easy. Obviously, was expecting it to, like, step up, but I don't think I was expecting it to step up as much as it did.
Did you ever consider changing career paths?
Since I was younger, this was sort of always like a latent conversation I was having with myself. Everyone supported the idea of me becoming a physician, and it was sort of expected that I would do well if I decided to do it, but it was never expected that I would actually become a physician. Even though I wasn't a good student in high school, people knew that I would probably figure it out in college, which ended up happening. Surprisingly to me, I did not expect that, but everyone else supposedly expected that. So I want to know what Kool-Aid they were drinking, because if they have that type of mind reading or prediction powers, I want to figure that out. I was thinking about other domains. I was really interested in sports physiology, strength and conditioning. I didn't like the culture within what I perceived to be the culture within medical school. What some of my friends would argue is like, Joshua, you like medicine, but you don't like the people in medicine. So why would you go into medicine?
No, it's really been the only career that I've ever wanted to go into since I've been like teeny tiny. I feel like I've been like putting a conscious effort into, I'm going to be a doctor since I was so young, that I've never even really considered. Like, in my head, I'm like, there's nothing else I would actually rather do. So why would I stop to do something I don't want to do rather than just like suffer through this to be able to do what I'm going to do?
Once for like 2 weeks, I thought it was like after my first like college test, and I got like a B, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get into med school. I should just quit now. And then for like 2 seconds, I was like, I should just be like a high school biology teacher. That's all I'm ever going to be good for. And then like 2 weeks later, I was like, I can't do that. Like, I don't want to do that. This is like the only thing that I actually want to do. So I just kind of sucked it up and kept going.
STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. Those majoring in the STEM fields are the most common and abundant applicants to medical school, yet non-science major med school applicants are seemingly highly sought after. But we'll touch on this later. Many STEM majors enter as pre-med students, yet a large majority switch fields. The New York Times article, Why Science Majors Changed Their Mind, It's Just So Damn Hard, states that the bulk of attrition comes in engineering and among pre-med majors who typically leave STEM fields. The article attributes these reasons to tough freshman classes, grade inflation in humanities and social sciences, and the cut and dry style of science classes. Wake Forest University reported the chemistry department to have the lowest grades overall in a decade, averaging 2.78 out of 4. So you were formerly a pre-med student?
Yes, I was. Obviously, when I was applying to college, I was looking at being pre-med, and I was very strategically structuring my major to curate towards that. I was a biochem major coming into college, and I did that largely because I did some research thinking that a biochem major would be more easily accepted into med schools, like a different kind of major. Kind of opened more doors in that realm because I can go into public health and possibly be a PA at the same time.
And when did you make the switch from pre-med to pre-PA?
I made the switch pretty early on. Towards the end of my first semester of college, just because I was kind of unaware of the other tracks and other professions that I could be going into. Gen Ed classes kind of opened my eyes to the different people and different careers that they were choosing. So, like, basically for me, I came in thinking I was pre-med, kind of like in that mindset until I learned from professors and my peers about pre-PA. So then I switched. Obviously, like, there is debt involved, and if you love what you do, it's worth it. But for me, I just didn't see all of that benefiting me because I also ended up declaring like a Soc minor, possibly double majoring in Soc. And because of that, I gained like this big interest in public health. And if I ended up becoming a doctor, like that would take up all my time and I wouldn't be able to explore that.
Did you know anyone that switched career paths from pre-med?
Oh my gosh, we know so many people that have.
Yes, a lot of people from home did that.
I knew people who said in high school they were going to go into pre-med, but then changed immediately.